Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today's day is Friday, and you know what that means. It means it's time for our weekend preview. And on a WWE and AEW front, this weekend is kind of quiet. But TNA is back, and it is back indeed with a Hard To Kill pay-per-view. And it's stacking up to be a really stacked card. I'm excited for it, and somebody else who's excited for it is joining me here today, the head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. I don't really recall, outside of a Mania, a weekend being so jam-packed with wrestling. You know, from SmackDown tonight, Collision, Battle of the Belts, Hard to Kill, Battle in the Valley. Like, this is a really jam-packed weekend. So it should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm going to be completely honest. I've had a really busy day today, and I've completely and utterly forgot about Battle of the Belts happening, but that is going to be a fun show, of course. They've actually built it this time, so I shouldn't have forgotten about it. Of course, they've got the Jericho and Guevara tag match for the tag team championships against Big Bill and Ricky Starks. And it's going to be a good show, that one for sure. But also joining us today, it's the man who you usually are used to seeing on a day beginning with a T, whether that's a Tuesday or a Thursday, but he's here on a Friday. How are you, Shad?
I like that, man. Yes, sir. It's your boy, the Tuesday Night Delight, as they call me around these parts, Mr. Throwback Thursday, with my good brother Anthony in the pod today. I'm excited to talk, man. I love when there is a plethora of wrestling going on a weekend. I have a relatively light weekend this week, although I am picking up my title belt for the Fantasy Football Championship. Wrestling Republic chat, expect to see a photo shoot, all of that. But I'm hyped, man. This is going to be an awesome pay-per-view tomorrow. SmackDown's card looks good. The Collision card looks good as well. So let's get into it, man.
Absolutely. Let's just jump right into things. We have a comment here.
Shad, I just want to say one thing with the photo shoot. Please don't do the Shawn Michaels. That's all I ask.
Nah, that's crazy. I ain't doing all that. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh. We've got a few comments here. We got Numero 1 Superfly. Hello, Numero 1. We got Bobby Petito saying Julia will defend the New Japan Strong Women's Championship against Trish Adora at New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley, which is also happening. Yep. I mean, I'm going to be honest, Anthony, until you mentioned it, I completely forgot how stacked this weekend of wrestling is. I'm even more excited now, and I've got a busy weekend as well, but we've got Soul saying, what's with the red lights? Is Kane going to appear? I've been using them all week. I'm surprised people are noticing them now, but we've also on Instagram, we got a comment from Alex_BloodAngel996 saying he's a fan of wrestling from Italy. Hello, welcome to the show. But let's just jump right into things, and let's jump right into TNA Hard To Kill. It's the big talking point of this weekend. Of course, you know, it's going to be an exciting show. It's a moment for TNA to establish itself once again. People have been saying for the last year and a half that it's been on fire, with the only complaint being production issues. Well, now they've apparently improved production a little bit, and they're going to have a lot more eyes on them for the first time in a while, presumably because of the amount of hype around the event. So, I mean, they've got a point to prove, and I'm excited for it. I'll quickly run through the card. First off, Josh Alexander, Alex Hammerstone. Take my money, please. That's phenomenal. Then we have PCO versus Dirty Dango. I have a feeling this match isn't going to be a bit of me because
pre-show, I believe.
Is it
I
the
think so.
pre-show?
I think it is. I think it's the pre-show.
I hope it is. It's listed as the main card, sure, but I hope it's wrong. I hope you are right. We've then got a match which I am excited for. The TNA Knockout World Title #1 Contenders match. Alicia Edwards versus Giselle Shaw versus Xia Brookside, who's fantastic, by the way, versus Dani Luna versus Tasha Steelz versus Jody Threat. That one is going to be a lot of fun for sure. We have the TNA World Tag Team titles on the line, as well as ABC take on the grizzled young veterans, the Rascals, and Speedball Mountain. Again, get those stars ready, Kobe, because I think we may have to give some of those out for this one. Also, a triple threat in the X division as Chris Sabin defends against Kushida and El Hijo del Vikingo. That's another one which is going to be a banger. And then the Knockout World Championship. Of course, people have been saying for a long while now, the Knockouts division is the best division for women's wrestling in the world. And they'll get to showcase that as Trinity defends against Jordan Grace. That match is going to be a lot of fun for sure. And then, presumably the main event, the TNA World Championship match, when Alex Shelley defends against Moose. That's going to be a lot of fun too. But Anthony, you're a big fan of TNA, of Impact Wrestling. What are you looking forward to the most on this card?
I do want to correct myself. The PCO match is on the main card. I got it confused on the fight. This is such a stacked card. I mean, from the Knockouts women's title match, which should be phenomenal. The 4-way tag title should be awesome. For me personally, the cornerstone of TNA for the 20 plus years in existence, even through the bad times, has always been the X Division. That X Division title match, you cannot get any better than those three just going at it. It's going to be an absolute insane match. Plus, on top of all that, we have whatever the mysterious signing is as well. That they said worlds will collide. You won't believe who's there. No one knows. I mean, and it's very interesting. And TNA really has shown over the years, like I wrote, I called them the Moneyball promotion before. They've done a lot with a little, and it's very under the radar. They really are the true alternative. Just way ECW was the alternative in the late 90s against WCW and WWE. They're not trying to compete with them. They're doing their own thing. And I think there is a lot of hype around them now. Plus, they relaunched their app under the TNA banner. It's a very interesting time, and I'm very much looking forward to it. As a fan of professional wrestling, not a WWE fan, not an AEW fan, a wrestling fan, I love weekends like this.
Absolutely. No, they are the best, right? And let's just look back a few years ago when TNA wasn't doing so well. Ring of Honor was doing, decent. But realistically, outside of WWE, most weekends there wouldn't be anything on, and most weekends for WWE, because a SmackDown was on Tuesdays, there was nothing on for WWE. So wrestling, weekends for wrestling was kind of a bit dead. Well, look at it now; it's stacked once again, and it's delightful. I'm excited for TNA Hard to Kill. I really, really am. Salvador Martinez believes Moose should win the TNT Championship, as he thinks it would be a great start to the new era. Of course, Moose has been somebody who's been with TNA for, he's dedicated most of his career to them and for him to get that moment. I mean, would you like that, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, he had a run as world champion, including carrying the TNA title, even though it was technically unsanctioned at the time, and they discontinued it when Christian won the belt. Off of Omega. But I mean, it's such a nostalgic thing. And let's talk about the new titles too. The new designs that have been released are some of the best we've seen in wrestling. So I really have a lot of optimism to TNA's future. They just signed the streaming deal with Endeavor. Yeah, the same Endeavor. They bought WWE. Whether or not that's part of it, we'll have to wait and find out. I would hope so. I mean, we've seen them work together in the past. I would love to see that. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would love to see it. We've saw Mickie James as Knockouts champion in the Rumble. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's very optimistic. As a fan, you should be optimistic that this could be going the right direction. The card itself is as solid as you can possibly get from top to bottom. It's probably one of the best cards we've seen in a while from top to bottom.
Oh, it really, really is. It's an exciting card, and that's generating a lot of buzz around the event, which is what they needed to do. And like you said, those new titles, exceptional. My personal favorite's the knockout one. That is just filthy.
You think it's the white strap? The white strap
Yeah.
adds to it.
Oh yeah. I'm a fan of gold on white. I really, really am, and I think they've nailed it.
I do love the fact that they didn't stick with the same colored strap with all the belts. Like the tag titles are red,
Yeah.
and the world title's black, which understandable and stuff like that, and the women's is white.
Yeah.
But like I'm glad they are different. Even the digital media title looks really cool.
Yeah.
The way it is on the plate and everything. They really nailed these titles. I don't know who they got to design them, but they did a nice job.
I actually do know this, and
okay.
I have completely forgotten the name, frustratingly. I was literally looking at the person's Instagram today, and the really interesting thing is, I've gone on his page, and he's a 2K belt creator. So he creates like the designs, like mimicking like the World Heavyweight Championship, or you know, any wrestling belt. So he renders it and all of that, and then you know puts it into 2K. And they got him to, you know, make their real belts. And I don't know if he's got any experience doing that. I couldn't see any on his feed, but maybe he has. But he did a very, very good job, didn't he? And and he said something quite interesting in his caption. He said he was working on them throughout 2023. So maybe this was actually in the works for longer than we realized as well.
I think it was. Yeah, I think they did say that it was in the works. I think they were even kicking around the idea during the pandemic, before the pandemic hit, because they were supposed to do a TNA homecoming show. Like there was talk of doing that. So I think this is quasi been in the works for a long while.
Oh, I'm glad to see it back. TNA Wrestling is back. But Shad, what about you? What are you excited for at TNA Hard to Kill?
I am excited for. I don't want to put multiple matches, but it's 3 specific matches. The first one is both women's matches. I think the knockouts contender. I believe it's it's a Ultimate X match, right? For the
yes,
women's.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, those matches are always fun to me. I enjoy those matches. I like a lot of the competitors in there. Zara Brookside is amazing. I'm definitely excited to see her debut with TNA. Jody Threat is awesome. She's one of my personal favorites in the knockouts division. She really is a hard hitting wrestler. And then you got one of my favorite wrestlers just in general in TNA, Miss Tasha Steeles, who I'm picking to win that match because I love the work as her as the champion prior. I think she's coming back. She was gone for a little bit. I think this is a good moment for her to get that title shot and eventually get that title back on her waist. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Trinity versus Jordan Grace. These are 2 of the best women's wrestlers in the entire world. Trinity, I remember I said this. Remember when she signed there, I said that's gonna be a needle mover. I feel like I haven't been wrong. I feel like a lot of positive. The trajectory of TNA Impact Wrestling has gone up since she has came over there and to become champion. Jordan Grace is a animal. She is one of the most dominant physical women's wrestlers you have. They're gonna have a great match. But the match I'm most excited for is where tag team wrestling feels alive out of all the wrestling promotions is this tag team title like match that we have. You named it, the Grizzled Young Vets. We finally get to see him back, man. The actual Grizzled Young Vets, not the whatever they was in NXT. And I'm the Tuesday Night Delight. I call a spade a spade. I was not a fan of the whole dyad group, but these guys are back. They're one of the best tag teams, man. These guys have one of the most fun, innovative type of move sets. You got the Rascals. I'm a big Trey Miguel fan. Zachary Wentz is awesome. They're a really notable, fun tag team that always is doing some crazy stuff. You know, you got Chris Bay and Ace Austin. Is it ABC? What's their tag team name?
ABC.
Yeah, ABC.
ABC. You know, those guys are they're champs, so they definitely do their thing. And I mean, we also got Speedball and Trent Seven. What? That is going to be crazy, man. Those guys, Speedball is one of the best just out there. That dude moves at 1,000,000 miles per hour. We were talking about him in the Mr. Amazing interview. We literally spent like 3 minutes just talking about how amazing he is, no pun intended, and how he would want to wrestle him. And then seeing Trent Seven, man, this is going to be a fun match. This is probably going to be a early match of the year contender if all goes well with it. I don't see how this isn't match of the night on the card. So I'm excited for that match the most. But the three matches I named are the ones I'm excited for. It's going to be a great card. I'm hoping for an successful pay-per-view, PLE, whatever they call it now. Yeah, we'll go from there.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited too. I really, really am. But I mentioned I was tired, but I mentioned that I've had a lot to do today, and about once a week on this podcast, I made a big mistake. Well, I've made it today because I realized I forgot to introduce somebody. And that man is the man who has a cousin, and that man's cousin's name is Carty Carnett. But he is not Carty Carnett, he is Carter Crisp. Carter, I'm so sorry, how are you, and what are you looking forward to at Hard to Kill tomorrow night?
All good, Ben. All I was going to say is I was training this morning to prepare for your fellow co-host, Mr. Clark Taylor. But I don't really have any... Yeah, and he's got to watch those Kimuras. But I don't really... everything you guys all said, I'm just going to say the same things again. This X Division match is going to be an absolute heater. It's going to be just a banger. You got El Hijo. The X Division is historically, like you see those spots where you had the crowd mosh pit with the dude jumping off the top of the cage, and just that is going to be amazing. What Shad said about Speedball. So Ben, I voted Speedball for match of the year. I don't remember if it was versus Zack Sabre, or if I don't even remember what match it was. Speedball is the best indie wrestler out there.
Wow.
No, regardless, I mean, just put it on there. He just gave Santino Bros a little seminar. He's amazing. You know, the Taekwondo kicks. Him and I'm going to say this, Ben, you might not like this. I don't mind 4 tag teams in the ring at the same time. I think that's great. And you know what? You know, Chikara, the Buckaroos, Spot Fest, I'm all for it. This is going to be a Spot Fest. And it's going to be fantastic. I think that the card's very diverse and just the types of wrestling you have. The Trinity and Jordan Grace match, that's going to be an amazing strong style women's match. It's going to be awesome. And I mean, Alex Hammerstone, Josh Alexander, that's going to be, you're going to see some real grappling there. Cardi Cornette's going to be excited about that one. So, I mean, but me personally, just so everyone knows, I'm flying into Vegas tomorrow. I'll be having to catch up on this, and then I'm attending Snake Eyes the next day. So we're going to see Ospreay versus Alexander, and hopefully we have an early match of the year contender.
I think that could well be true, and you are right. I'm not a fan of when there's more than 6 guys in a ring. That's my cap usually, right? Above 6 men, automatic -5 stars in my books. But if there's any 4 guys, well, any 4 teams who are gonna, you know, make me overlook that usual rule, it's these 4 teams. Because, like you said, I'm not a fan of when there's too many people in the ring, too much going on. But these guys, I think it's gonna be just so entertaining. I don't even think I'm gonna have time to process the small little issues I'll have with certain things. Because, yeah, I'm excited. I'm a fan of all 8 men in that match. And it will certainly be a banger of a bout, as I like to say. But now let's move on. And let's move on to talk about SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown tonight on Fox in the United States of America and TNT Sports here in the UK. Because one of my favorite wrestlers, one of the guys who I think is one of the most underrated wrestlers on the planet, will be in competition as Cameron Grimes returns to the ring to face Grayson Waller. And I swear this feud started about 6 months ago, right? And they just completely forgot about it. It kind of feels not quite as bad as Swerve and Keith Lee, because there was even more of a story and they forgot about it. But on a lesser extent, it kind of feels like that. It feels like they forgot all about Cameron Grimes, and now they're like, actually, Grayson Waller's got nothing to do, let's do that. And it's disappointing because Cameron Grimes is a young guy. He's a young guy who has all the tools that I presume WWE are looking for. He's good in the ring, he's reinvented himself multiple times, and he's a great promo. What more do they want? Seriously. I still don't get why they're not utilizing him more, but he will be in action tonight against Grayson Waller. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this one?
This is one of those ones that confuses me tremendously, Cameron Grimes, because I understood, when Hunter would push people in NXT and then they would get to the main roster and Vince is like, yeah, I don't see anything in them. This is now all Hunter. Cameron was one of Hunter's guys, and he got over, and it was a popular character to the moon, all this other stuff. I don't know why they don't use him. I don't know, was he injured and we didn't know about it? Like, I don't understand why they don't. I think these two can have an incredible match, but going into it, I don't look at it in any way that Cameron has a chance of winning this. I would like to see him win, but considering the fact that they're pushing Waller, I don't really think they would push Cameron too at the same time. At least it doesn't appear that way. Cameron is without a doubt one of those tremendous talents, like we were talking about with TNA, former cornerstone of the X division at one point in his career, and Waller has talent that you can't quantify. Like, the guy is pure money down the road. I think he's more valuable than Theory is at this point. So I think Waller has a lot of opportunity to be another Miz, another heel that can kind of really get a lot out of his opponents, both in the ring and on the mic. So I think this will be a great match. I would like to see Cameron win it, but I think it's Waller's.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, both of these guys, they're two fantastic young talents. I mean, we got Mr. Mike_H_1981 in the comments on Instagram saying Cameron Grimes needs this win, and he kind of reminds him of Daniel Bryan. That's not a comparison I've heard, actually. We've got a few comments on YouTube as well. Salvador Martinez is asking who we believe the top Impact TNA signing is. We'll be talking about that later in this show, so stay tuned. And wow, Soul is saying Cameron Grimes yawn. He's not a fan of Cameron Grimes. Well, I think that's poor taste. But
Soul, did you overbuy the Cameron Grimes ringside figure, hoping that you would cash in like the Yeet shirts? You bought like 30 of them. I'm just saying.
So Soul and Chaos really, I mean, they're still not financially recovered from buying all those Yeet shirts.
Yeah, I mean, I think in total, don't they have like 45 of them?
I think it's around that number. I think it is around that number. They thought they were going to be collector's items, and oh no, they got the trademark. But we got a couple more comments. Bobby Petito loves Cameron Grimes, saying Cedric Alexander too deserves more TV time. And number one Superfly is saying, "Book Cameron Grimes better. Book it better, Hunter." But now let's move on to talk about AEW. Not AEW yet. We still need to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. You guys can tell I've had a busy day. It's been absolutely chaotic. It's the light. The red light's throwing me off. It's Kane. It's Kane's fault. That's what it is.
Looking for the pyro.
Or the boogeyman.
This fire comes out and my entire accommodation goes on fire. That would not be ideal. But we've got a our next topic is, of course, the LWO and the new LWO, if you like, currently feuding with, of course, Santos Escobar turning on Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. I mean, they kind of tried to get him to turn back on the good side again. He wasn't having it. He beat them down. And now he's got two new guys with him in the names of Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, mixing them both together and calling them Angelo there. But this tag team match on SmackDown, I'm excited for. I really do think that this could be a really top quality match. I do wish maybe they built it up a little more between the two teams, but I'm excited for this. Shad, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I share the same thoughts on the match itself. This is going to be a very high quality television match for Friday Night SmackDown. Both of these teams are great. I mean, we saw in that 6-man match, Mr. Joaquin Wilde can jump to the sky darn near like that. He's got the juice right now. This is going to be a telling match to see what the result's going to be. And I think the result will be that the new faction of Legado del Fantasma is going to win. Um, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know how I felt about the addition of Humberto and Angel Garza and just completely changing up the faction that was brought up onto the main roster. I thought the initial Legado had a very strong appeal to him as a faction. I thought all three gentlemen looked good as a team. I thought those guys played their roles really well. But I've started to think about it more, and I think I like the thought process of having Angel and Humberto as part of Legato because I feel they're better heels than Joaquin and Cruz del Toro. I think that they have natural heel instincts. I think that they're a little bit more confident as characters. They have a little bit more personalities. They're great in the ring as well. And I think you add that to what Santos is, I think they can be a dominant faction, heel faction at that, going down the road. Because these are two guys that I thought have always been underutilized on the main roster. I feel like
Yeah.
their talent is amazing. I think Umberto is one of the most underrated guys in WWE. Like he has a lot of tools to be really great, and Angel's really solid too. He's done different type of roles character wise as well. And I think this is like the perfect puzzle piece adding them with Santos. I think that it's really got an opportunity to gel. And if Hunter books them correctly, I mean, this could be a potential faction that wins a tag team title, and maybe Santos has a mid card title on his waist. Who knows? Maybe these guys could be the tag champs, and he could be the United States champion. So I see a lot of optimism. Will it happen? It's only time can tell. But I'm gonna pick Umberto and Angel Garza to win tonight. I think LWO is kind of in a rebuilding pattern. I think they might do a lot
Yeah.
of work on NXT again just because they are in the Dusty Classic tournament as well. So yeah, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you are completely right. In both Garza and Humberto, I think they're still fairly young as well. And both guys, right, we're now talking about Dragon Lee as, the next Lucha Libre star. Well, people were saying that about both Humberto and Angelo. And I don't know why I keep calling him Angelo. And,
You think of
Angel
Angelo Parker or
Garza.
something?
Yeah, Angelo Parker's in my head. But, I mean, you said that about those guys when they came in. And, I mean, it just didn't quite work out for them. But there's still time. And I think them with Santos Escobar could be very exciting. I am kind of worrying about Cruz del Toro and Walking Wild, if I'm being honest here. I don't know how long this LWO is going to last. And I worry they're going to kind of fade into, into the darkness. And that's very unfortunate, as they're two great guys. I mean, like you're saying, on NXT, they're killing it, but
it's not translating on the main roster unless they got the LWO moniker with them. And that's the unfortunate part because we haven't got to see those two really show who they are as characters at all. So, I mean, when I think of LWO, I think of Ray, Dragon Lee. I don't know if he's really part of it, but like Carlito and Zelina Vega, those guys have been way on the back burner of it. And, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
yeah. No, it absolutely is. But talking about, well, I thought this segment was going to be the AEW one. This next one will be, because we are talking about AEW Battle of the Belts. A huge encounter this week in the women's division in AEW, as the TBS Championship will be defended by Julia Hart. And right now, she's one of the biggest stars in AEW, full stop, right? When she enters an arena, they go silent. As soon as she comes out, they just pop like crazy. Her entrance, it gives you goosebumps. I always say it in wrestling, story is king, and so is character. And she has a character now, and she is telling good stories, and we are seeing the results. We really, really are. But Anna Jay, we just talked about in WWE people getting lost in the shuffle. Anna Jay has been lost in the shuffle over the last year in AEW. I mean, I forget she exists some weeks, if I'm being completely honest. But she got a win on Dynamite this week in the 8-woman tag team match. And now she's got a TBS championship opportunity. And I kind of wish this was a bigger feud. I kind of wish Anna Jay got this opportunity, you know, after maybe a few weeks of building it. But it is what it is. And I'm just hoping these two women put on a banger. Because I want to see more Anna Jay again. I really, really do. I think she's got tons and tons of potential. But Carter, what do you think?
Ben, I'm gonna ruffle your feathers a little bit. I think this is actually pretty good I don't know if you want to call it mid card, but the secondary women's title. I think this is pretty good booking from Tony Khan, considering the speed of it. So I believe Anna Jay pinned Julia Hart in that match.
She did. She did.
Yeah,
she has earned herself an opportunity.
So reasonable build up, you know, equally, you know, similarly sized wrestlers. I'd say the one big difference between the two of them, and this might bug some of our fans, but Julia, we don't hear her that much on the mic since she had her sort of heel dark turn, and Anna's a little more vocal. So I'm hoping this can turn into a fun little rivalry, and we can get a little more, you know, out of Julia, because the aura and everything you're talking about, Ben, is just fantastic. But yeah, I would like to see some more rivalries out of her. I mean, she's going to be a great TBS champion, no doubt about it. But I want to see some rivalries here, and I think this is a pretty good setup. And dare I say it again, that 4-on-4, 8 bodies in the ring did a pretty good job of building up this match. If we were booking this in 2K, and I apologize, Ben, for saying many things that might offend your own personal beliefs, but you know, we're all here to have opinions, and you know, some of them are not, you know, the same. So.
Oh, yeah, I did not like that 8-woman tag team match. I did not like the 8-man tag team match on Dynamite either. I thought both of them were very messy and just completely and utterly, not pointless, but I thought they would spit overkill. But you are right, Anna Jay earned this opportunity, and like you said as well, Julia Hart doesn't talk very much. But now and again, a character comes along in wrestling who doesn't need to talk that often. She does some stuff, but very little, right? And sometimes it works. And in the case of Julia Hart, it works. But yeah, I would have just liked to have seen a bit more of Anna Jay leading into this. But who knows? If this is just the start of a feud, I take that back. Brilliant booking. But I'm kind of worried it's a one and done, like we see so often in this AEW women's division. But I have I just received a phone call in between segments a couple of minutes ago, Carter. And I found out that your cousin, Carty Carnett, has been released from jail.
He is.
Would you believe it or not?
He's in the building.
He's in the building.
Yeah, he's alive and he's well. So I can go grab him if you want me to.
You know what? I'll quickly introduce the next topic. You go grab him, and I'll ask his thoughts on the new AEW signing. Let's do that. So let's talk about it. Let's talk not AEW signing, TNA signing. That's the one. I'm so used to saying about AEW signings. But TNA, of course, this weekend, it's the big, draw for this show, kind of, is that they're saying, you're not going to believe who we have. And there's been a lot of speculation about this, because originally Scott D'Amore said that this is one of the biggest signings in TNA. Now, this was misquoted by a lot of people saying TNA history. It's not TNA history. It was just TNA, right? So that might just mean he'll be one of the biggest stars. He or she will be one of the biggest stars on the TNA roster, which changes things massively, right? Especially when it comes to prediction. Because if you're talking about one of the biggest signings in TNA history, well, then it becomes a lot more, a lot more confusing, I guess, because one element of it could be, and a lot of people have speculated, Anthony referenced it earlier, what if this is leading to something between TNA and WWE, where they have some working relationship type thing like we discussed on the show recently, and maybe it's not a signing, maybe it's an appearance from somebody like AJ Styles saying, hey, I'm having a match in TNA, I'm coming back for one match. That could be exciting. But will it be that, or will it be a new signing altogether? Could it be a Dolph Ziggler? Could it be somebody like that? Carty Carnett, What are your thoughts?
Now, I had to come back when I heard my good cousin. He gave Mr. Nick Gage 10 stars on Cage Match last night. That is unacceptable. He is a danger in the business. But I have a prediction for you, Mr. Ben Allison.
Oh,
A real wrestler is coming back. We're going to get him on his medications, and he's going to be going off. We're going to see some real grappling. But, that's interesting what you say there, Benjamin. As you know, TNA, like myself, has some serious history in this business. And I have a wild name of some crazy hooligans who just might show up. Mr. AJ Styles, I think, would be great. What about this new champion we have right here, Mr. Samoa Joe? Another real wrestler, none of that little tippy-tappy outlaw mud show, Chikara, with the ants dancing with the grasshoppers. We don't need none of that. What about Mr. Matt Cardona? Huh? What about that? He's a pretty big deal now these days. We got Christian Cage. We got Sting. I don't know if this man's alive. Raven? Is Raven still around? Yeah, I don't. That might be. That's an old name. I don't know.
I think.
He's still
I unless I'm missing something, he is.
But I'll go with a very safe bet, and maybe Jay Lethal. He's got some serious history with TNA. It could be him. But Ben, I couldn't be happier to be back. There has been some nonsense floating around, and I'm here to fix this industry.
So, are you saying, Carty Carnett, that TNA are not going to have a working relationship with WWE, but they're going to get their one with AEW back instead?
If they want to go to that outlaw mud show promotion that's in a big stadium, they can go ahead. However, my recommendation is to go with the big boys. Go with the boys where they're not breaking everybody's ankles and sticking gerbils up people's you-know-whats. Go with the real wrestling company. That's what I have to say.
Well, thank you, Carty Carnett. That is certainly an opinion. Let's look in the comments because we have quite a few of them right now. Anthony Manzano saying, if it's a partnership with WWE, Carty, they send someone over like Roxanne Perez, Bianca Belair, or Bayley.
Real wrestlers. Real wrestlers.
Yeah, they are.
No Nick Gage is in that name.
Bobby Petito thinks maybe Lizzie Evo or Michael Oku. Both of those I love, absolutely love for them to be there, but they're not big enough to be the big signing. But I'd love for them to be able to join there. But Shad, what about you? Who do you reckon this signing, whatever, you're not going to believe who we've got. What do you reckon it is they've got?
It's difficult because I feel like we are definitely like the microscope is heavy to that word. One of the biggest signings that's gonna kind of go crazy for us. Everyone's gonna lose their mind and whatnot. I mean, just looking at the current free agents, people that I would enjoy seeing to go there, Mustafa Ali. I think that would be instant game changer for the X division. I said it earlier. I think Mustafa Ali, if he was to sign with TNA, would be very similar to when AEW signed Swerve, where they have a guy. It may not initially be something that wows a lot of people, gets them a little excited, but he would gradually grow into being one of the top people on the promotion, especially with the entire rebrand. People have been saying Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, that could be a pretty big one. Wouldn't mind that. But they spoke with the world in that, right? They said the worlds collide type of thing.
Yes, that's the other thing they said, worlds collide.
I don't think he's resigned yet. I think it's going to be Okada. I got Okada going to TNA. He has not yet re-signed with New Japan yet. I know he's working the next day on that show. I think he's got the match with Ospreay, right?
He does. I mean, I don't know if that's even the same night, is it?
No,
or is it the next?
It's the same night as Hard to Kill. Ospreay is taking on Okada.
Same night is it? Okay,
it's the
never
same
mind.
Unless he gets a quick teleportation, teleportation angle. We're seeing a hacking angle.
That flight might be a little too. I was thinking it could be Okada, but man, I guess it's not going to be him.
You sold me on that too for a minute.
Yeah. Oh man, it's difficult. I really don't know who's going to be it. if I was to give one, I feel like it may be someone who is from the WWE moniker that was let go, and you know what? I'm gonna go and say it's gonna be Matt Riddle. I got Matt Riddle signing
I
there.
mean,
I think
hasn't he signed?
I,
Hasn't
no,
he
I don't think
signed with
he's.
MLW?
I
I
don't think
believe
it's a
he has.
contract. I think it was a match that he signed with them, right?
No, I
I
think he's there.
it's a
Oh, he
contract.
signed the contract.
I
Oh
think.
man, I'm just giving out everyone who's already been signed or doing something already. I really don't know the shit you. This is a good thing, TNA. I don't know
Yeah.
who you guys are signing. So you know what? I'll go with a safe one then. My man AJ Francis. I know he will be there. I think he is gonna sign there. And we look
Yeah.
like each other. So AJ Francis is my pick.
I'd love to see him there. I absolutely would. I don't know if he's big enough to be the big sign-in. But I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't backtrack on that Okada one yet, right? Because if Okada Osprey opens somehow, Battle in the Valley, he could actually make it to
It's
Hard to
not
Kill
because
before the
Hard to
main
Kill's
event.
is it in Vegas?
It's in Vegas, yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's
and
not. You know what? I'm taking it back. My pick is Okada. I think they're gonna wrestle early, and I think he's gonna be there at the end of the show. It is gonna be Okada.
Well,
he's
here's
got
the
to hope
thing.
for no traffic.
Here's the problem with that. Well, actually, he'd have to go to TNA first because Battle of the Valley airs 10 Eastern, and
Oh.
Hard to Kill airs at 8. So in theory, they could open the show with the signing, it being Okada, and then he gets a plane to fly back and forth for the two shows. I mean, in theory, he could.
I really, honestly, I don't know who the free agents are right now. This is the thing. I don't think there is a person that makes me feel that they're. I don't think it's gonna be a big time free agent. There's not enough.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
not enough
It
free
has
agents
to
in the
be.
pool now that is there. I don't know, man. It's my.
I mean, Anthony, we got a couple minutes left. What about you? What do you reckon it's going to be?
This is such a wild thing because the hype behind it, and you look at the free agent pool who's out there. You're like, it's probably not Hammerstone because they booked him for a match. It
Yeah.
may not be Okada since you've already said he's going to be on Snake Eyes tapings. You know it's not Osprey because he already signed with AEW. I mean, there are a couple names out there that are blackballed people that have TNA passed. I don't think it's either one of those two. I'm not going to say who they are, but do the math. You can figure it out. One's a former world champion there. But I mean, realistically, Mustafa probably makes the most sense. When we originally covered when he got released, I said he is to me the most valuable one that they released and should be the most sought after one. And I think TNA is the most ideal place for him. He could dominate with the X division, really build it around him. He can do the world title. It really is the perfect place for him. If he went to AEW, he's getting lost in the shuffle like everyone else that they've signed. So I really think that's the safe bet for him for TNA. The Worlds Collide line is why many people think it could be some type of deal with WWE for a Worlds Collide show. WWE has history with working with smaller companies. They did with Evolve, they did with Progress. Back in the day, they secretly funded ECW. They had first crack at the young talent in ECW. Older talent like Al Snow, they sent to ECW to build them up and then brought them back. It's entirely possible that there's a deal worked out. I think that would fit in the whole Worlds Collide biggest thing. Now, is that fantasy dream booking? Of course it is. I think the most likely is probably Mustafa. If I'm going to guess, him or Dolph is Nick Nemeth is probably the most logical of the signings.
Yeah.
But
no, I think you're right.
I think those are the safest one. Okada would be huge for them. I don't think it's Monet. I really don't. I think she's asking for too much money, and it's money that I wouldn't spend if I'm TNA and you have a limited budget. But they offered Osprey $1 million. I mean, that's the rumored figure that floated out there. So if they got some money to spend,
money for Monet. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Indeed.
Yes. We'll
But
find
we
out.
got a couple of comments here I want to read out. Anthony Manzano saying, is it Braun Strowman? He's not a free agent. He's just injured. He is working hard. Jacob Fatu is also under contract of MLW. We've got Numero One Superfly saying, either they need to sign the man who used to be Dolph Ziggler or Goldberg.
Goldberg does want his retirement match, but I don't know who in TNA he'd go up against. Maybe Moose? Possibly? That would make the most... Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I'd like that. I would. I just don't know if that's the case. What happens if they sign all these names? What happens if they just sign nearly everybody?
Tyler Breeze is a free agent. And they got Fandango.
Tyler,
Technically he's employed by WWE.
I think he's got some deal for the
Not as a
YouTube
wrestler,
show,
though.
but as a wrestler, I think he kind of, in theory, he could.
Oh, okay. Well, let's now sign off, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on Spotify, please leave us a cheeky 5 stars. If you're on YouTube, Instagram, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the comments today. I'm sorry I haven't been able to go through them all. There's just been so many, and we appreciate them so much. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, to review Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you to Anthony, thank you to Shad, and thank you to Carter and Carty Canet for joining me here today. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace!